I'll start by telling everyone some of the details of the 2020 World Championship in 12 meters in Helsinki. So NJK made a preliminary offer to run this race in late August 2018, and then we got the nice letter that it's actually rewarded to NJK for next year. This will make up some of the sort of shortcomings of the European boats not going over this year to Newport where there is a Worlds, but I think what really interests people is that what are we expecting and how are we going to run it. And I think that NJK is expecting that we will keep the boats at the harbor in downtown Helsinki. Yeah, but if more than 10 boats show up, then I will go and talk with the mayor. Maybe we can have the boats sitting right at the market square. We would rather not have them right away at the market square because it's nicer to have them at the NJK island just outside. They will, be more safe there, and you can also fold your sails easier and so on. But both possibilities exist, and what then comes to mind is that how will we find an area where 10 to 20 12 meters can compete here in Helsinki, and if we're over 20, then we have to go outside Helsinki Kasuun. But if we're a little less than that, we can probably do somewhere south of what is Miele in Finnish? Melki, south of Melki, and one other area is that should be possible is the one racing area that we have closer to Espoo. Now, we hope that a lot of boats will come up to Helsinki. It's a bit of a long trip, but you will have a lot of nice programs all over. I think it's about 600 miles to come from Germany. If you go straight, maybe bunk up at Gotland. And if you have a race in Sandhamn, that's other days. So, but you will be very busy in 2020. We'll have our boat already here. But let's hear from you. So, Patrick, if you start, how do you think people will think about this, coming all the way up to the northern Europe to race 12s?
Well, I think we should not tell them that it's 600 miles, right? It looks very close, I think, isn't it? No, I think we have been going to Riesa very regular, which is 300 or so from Kiel. That is not really a big thing. And I think being at the end of the season, so nobody has terribly busy coming back, because back obviously is going to be the difficult part. I assume that we're going to have southwesterly winds and just go with a spinnaker, and that's going to be very fast. And then I'm very optimistic about people coming, because if we plan it early, we have the pre-worlds in Sandhamn, and they're very enthusiastic. I think there's a really good reason to go. And I think most of the boats we have now are actually, well, they want to race, right? And having a world championship now that we don't go to some of us don't go to Newport, I think it will be a great event, and there are more boats coming. So I don't know whether we're going to be 20, but I think there's a risk that we're going to be 20. I hope so.
The distance is a reason really to come, because it's much cheaper to sail than staying in harbor. You cannot use money out there.
So, Bobby, do you think there is a real chance that we can see Princess Svanevit?
Yes, there's a very good chance to see Princess Svanevit sailing in 2020. the work is proceeding according to plan. Just need more investors. But also in retrospect to the World Cup in 1988 up in Luleå, there was, for being a World Cup in Luleå, there was a lot of 12 meters there. And for sure we can be more than there were at that time, even if the racing is not maybe as competitive as it was in the World Cup then with the Grand Prix boats, but for sure sailing is as hard as then. So I think it's a very good chance for 10 to 15 boats.
I don't think it can be much more competitive what we're doing.
Probably true.
Right, well, I can tell you a story that when I was looking for a 12 meter to restore, and I traveled to Newport to look for some of the boats, because most of the 12 meters are always for sale in Newport. And I went and met Mr. John Slade, who was the president at the time. And he asked me, do you understand the 12 meter rule? I said, I think I know what it is. So do you really understand it? So, well, maybe. He said, well, the 12 meter rule is such that you buy it for 500, put in $1 million, and it's still worth only 500. I said, okay, very good.
He was not the most talented president we had, right?
So there is one question that came to my mind here while we were hearing all the stories about 12s, and that is, the crew recruitment and crew management. Also, sort of the possibility that some of these yachts will need generation shifts soon, and we see that in 6 meters. That's happening at the time, and also in the 8 meters. And it's not, completely clear that the younger family members will take over. And how do you handle this? Has anything of this kind come up in Germany, Denmark, and Sweden?
Well, I think it is actually obviously an issue. I think the crewing, I think on our boat the average age of the crew is probably like 42 or so, I would guess, right? Because all the guys on the foredeck need to be, at least strong and not older than, Johannes, how old are you? 40? 39, right? 39 must be the max. So I think in terms of crewing, I think, but we need to push it. And on the owner side, obviously, it is a challenge. Because it is really a passionate project, right? And you have the Upri bought Blue Marlin, restored it for because you're in love with the boat. I do the same, and the Wings guys also. So, and I think I can see. I have 3 sons, and some of them sail with us from time to time. But it's not that they don't have the idea or the passion to make that their project at all. So we need to find other people, or do shifting generations, right? So
could sail with us.
Yeah. Maybe that's why, Philipp. I won't allow that though. No, I think it's a very big issue. The problem is that suddenly I always think I'm very young, but sometimes people tell me I'm actually quite old. So it's very, very terrible. So that doesn't help in the generation shift. But we need to work on it. Yes.
Yes, in our team, we think it's extremely important that all people on board, especially the elderly one, are very keen to involve all the youngsters. For example, we have navigation education during 2 winters, and more than 10 of the crew members have now the skipper's exam. So when we are sailing transport sailing, it changes who is in charge of the boat, and that changes the behavior a lot to have the responsibility 100%. So I can say that I get emails not every week, but every month, more than every month, from young people that want to sail with us because they have heard we have good parties, and and that's very important.
I skipper the 73-foot Beatrice Aurore during the summers for the last 5 years, and when we're racing her, the youngest guy we have aboard is 21 and the oldest one is 80. So it's a broad range of sailors. But we feel that aboard the Beatrice Aurore, we usually need to give the younger ones a lot of responsibility, so they feel that they are important parts of the crew, not just being on the foredeck or so, but they need to be important aboard the boat. They don't steer usually, but you have to really give them important tasks all the time. That's one way to involve them. But that's just one boat, and one boat in Sweden, so we need to broaden that idea to involve more of the younger sailors, to see that the competitive racing is also in classic boats, not only in modern boats. So, and you can do that with marketing or just trying to scream out as loud, "Here we are! Join our boat!" It's great sailing on a classic boat, so it should be for everybody, I guess.
When I thought about this maybe 10, almost 15 years ago, when I had 2 sixes at the time, and I thought that I need to get my children to start sailing, and my son was 17 at the time. So I told him that just get a crew. Here's the boat, the maybe 6. Go and sail from Helsinki to Hanko. He was 17, so he picked a crew of 4 16-year-olds. And then they started, and they ran aground about 100 meters from the starting point. And then called me on the cell phone and said, "Hey, can you help? I said, "No, you have to figure it out yourself." But they got 2 days later, they were in Hanko, and he's been sailing that boat since.
Well done.
So that's it for my part. Thank you very much, Esko,
Thank you
for
so much.
arranging everything here. And I think you have some programs yet, but I cut this a little short because we were running out of time.
Thank you so very much, gentlemen. Thank you.